All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is Dr. Sean, the physical therapy application coach, here with Lorena. How are you, Lorena?
I'm good. Sean, how are you?
Doing great. I'm doing great. How are things in Texas?
Cold and windy.
And how
Yeah.
cold?
I think it's like 35 degrees right now in Dallas.
That's
And there's a wind advisory. I drove from Austin to Dallas this morning and I felt like I was going to fly off the highway.
awful. That's insane. So, does it like normally get down to that in Dallas? Like does it snow in Dallas often? Does that happen?
Not often, but was it last year or the year before?
I think it was last year with the crazy ice
Yeah,
snowstorm stuff.
nice. We better not get that again this year. But sometimes it snows, not every year, and we never know when it's going to snow.
Okay.
It just
Gotcha.
kind of happens.
So, sorry, this is completely off tangent here, but I want to ask,
Uh-huh.
what was your experience with the whole snow ice storm that shook Texas last year? Like, did you lose power? Like, what happened to you?
So I was lucky, and the city that I live in had like rolling blackouts.
Mm,
So we only had like 3 blackouts, and they lasted maybe like 3 or 4 hours, which
okay, that's not
like
bad.
we still kept warm. And then my job is 30 minutes away, so I didn't go to work for a couple of days because I was too scared to drive on the highway because of the ice.
Sure.
Yeah. And then what else happened? My first day going back to work, I didn't have gas in my car, and all the gas stations nearby were actually out of gas for some reason. I don't remember what it was, but gas stations like couldn't get gas because of the ice.
Like
It was
in the
just a hot
trucks, the
mess.
tankers. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like everything bad in
yeah,
one go. But okay, never mind. Thanks for entertaining that for me because I
yeah.
wanted to. I had a few family members that like were in Texas, but for the most part, it was pretty vanilla. Like nothing really happened
Yeah.
to them. But
No, I mean, I know people who had outages and like their homes flooded because like their pipes froze,
yeah,
and then when everything melted, like they got flooded.
yeah.
So
Well, hopefully that never happens in Arizona because we would be so screwed. Okay, so let's get back on track here. We are here today to celebrate your pre-PT success story as you are headed into physical therapy school in a few months.
yeah.
So let's go ahead and give people an opportunity to get to know you. Tell us a little bit about your background, and then we'll kind of move into more of your pre-PT story.
So I grew up in Dallas, and I come from a big family. Both of my parents are from Mexico, and I was born in Dallas. I speak Spanish and English. I went to school at Texas Tech, and then I moved back home, and I've been here for 2 years now. Yeah, 2 years.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So this is something that like it's obvious, I think, to a lot of people, but some people who may have the opportunity to be bilingual but kind of just dismiss it and only keep English. What's been the benefit for you for being bilingual?
There's so many benefits.
Yeah.
Especially like in the clinical setting, just being able to connect with patients on a different level, and being able to, especially with patients who don't speak English and they only speak whatever language you speak. I feel like you can connect with them on a different level, and I also feel like they're a lot more comfortable with you.
Sure.
I don't know what it is about that, you know, you're just more comfortable.
Sure. No, they're more comfortable with what they're familiar with, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I
And
just think there's like this new generation of people who, regardless of what country they've come from, and their parents speak a language, but they only speak English. I'm like, man, that is such a wasted opportunity. Like,
yeah,
because I wish I spoke a different language. Like I've one of my big career goals is to get more medical Spanish training. Just because I'm in Arizona, there's a lot of Spanish speakers, and like I do the best I can with the stuff that I know and stuff that people have taught me, but
yeah,
it's still not the same. So
yeah.
I hope people will take advantage of that if there's an opportunity for them.
And I definitely would recommend like taking advantage of it, just because you also get a lot of that's one of the things I feel like has set me apart from other applicants. The experiences that I've experienced with those patients that do speak Spanish. So yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for that perspective. So now let's get into the more recent story of applying to physical therapy school. Let's talk people through, when did this process start? And now, obviously, in the next few months, you'll be starting PT school. Let's go through this journey together and talk about what it took to get you there.
Yeah, so I started applying to PT school 3 years ago. I had known since I graduated high school that I wanted to do PT. Well, I'll backtrack a little bit. I did 2 years of community college, and then I transferred to Texas Tech University. And then while I was there, my junior year, I started like that summer between junior year and senior year, I started applying to PT school. I applied to 4 programs, and I interviewed with one, and I got waitlisted that first year.
So
And
close.
yeah. After that, I kind of was really focused on my grades. So I went back and retook some classes, and I also focused on my interview skills, because obviously I had an interview, but I apparently didn't like take it home since I got put on the wait list. Yeah. So I was on a couple of Facebook groups for pre-PT students, and that's kind of how I came across you. And yeah, so when I came across your page, that's when I contacted you. I started working with you, and I applied to 3 programs. And again, I interviewed with one program, but didn't get in. So
Heartbreak warfare again.
Yeah. And then I applied again for the 3rd time in July of last year. And I applied to 9 programs because it was kind of my like go big or go home. Sorry, I'm dog sitting.
Where's this dog? What does it look like? What kind of dog is it?
There's 2 of them. They're mutts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Judah.
Whose dogs are they?
Actually, one of my friends that I work with, she's a PT, but she's out of town for the weekend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's nice of you.
Yeah. Where was I?
Go big or go home.
Yeah. So I applied to 9 programs, and I was super stressful. And I honestly wanted to give up like 3 months before the application cycle. I'm pretty sure I called you, and I was like freaking out. I was like, I don't know if I should even do this. And so I ended up doing it, and I got into 4 programs, declined, or not declined, but I had 2 other interview offers that I didn't do. And then I interviewed with another program that I was put on the alternate list for.
Nice.
That's 7 programs.
7 programs.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So where are you going?
UT Southwestern in Dallas.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. And what factored into that decision for you?
It's close to my family, and I'll be able to live at home, so I'll save a lot of money, as well as the program is a 2.5-year program. So I'll graduate a little bit earlier than if I were to do a 3-year program.
Sure. Yeah, no, and you'll get the pick of the litter for job market too. You're like one of the first ones on the job market. So that's great. All fantastic reasons. I especially love the saving money option, because living at home, you can cut down your housing costs, man. Whoo, there's a lot of options. And school is, well, you're in Texas, so school is beautifully cheap in Texas in comparison to other parts of the country. So you're setting yourself up for a great opportunity coming out of school to knock out those loans and the debt and move on with your life.
Yeah. And like the cherry on top was that this program has been my dream program since I started looking at schools. And throughout my years applying, I had been applying to this program, but I never got interviews. And I never expected to get in. It was always kind of like,
Reach.
it's just my dream school. Like, but I didn't really think that I would get in. So that was just like the cherry on top.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Not only like you have people just fawning over you, like, please come to our program, but to have the one that you never expected, right? You dreamt for, but never expected. I think that's my favorite part of this story. And I think so. Let's go through this year over year. You talked about we worked on like we decided to work on your interview skills.
Mhm.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong with this, but I remember during that conversation, we had some things that we figured out with like your letters of recommendation. That was something else that we had to like revisit. Right?
Yes.
So that was something I'm trying to think. What else did we decide to change up or to make a difference? Is that the main thing?
My essays, we changed a lot
Right.
from my first to second year.
Right.
My first year, I know like my essays were very bad. That was one of the things that I loved about working with you, is you taught me how to sell myself.
Yeah.
As I feel like I believed in myself, but I didn't know how to sell myself. And I feel like if you can't sell yourself, then how are you going to get others to believe in you? And so I feel like that you could see that in my essays and my interviews.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I remember like during our early calls, that was my initial question was to myself was, does she believe it? Does she
Mhm.
believe she deserves a seat at the table? And during that rather emotional call, when you were just like, I don't know if I can do this. I'm so scared. I'm nervous. And obviously, like anyone in your situation, all those feelings that you were feeling were completely valid, right? Like, why would the third time be any different? I don't know if I'm good enough. Like all those normal self-doubt thoughts that come into our head. And I think that's really what made the biggest difference was I just looked at you, I was like, do you actually believe you deserve a seat at the table? Do you
Right.
believe that you deserve to go to PT school?
Mhm.
And it took a little bit of time, but I think that brewed with inside you and you finally drank the cup, if you
Yeah.
will. And you're like, yes, I deserve a spot. And I think that along with the other things, like you can't just believe yourself into PT school. Like you have to do the work and have the belief. And then those things come together and magic happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe, yeah, like I told you, like 3 months before the applications open in July, I was like, I mean, I would even, I work as a tech in an outpatient PT clinic for anybody who didn't know. But I like honestly didn't even want to go to work anymore. I was like, I'm so tired of PT. Like, if I don't get in, I just feel like failure. And you gave me a pep talk. My friends and my parents were like, you've already come this far. Like, you waited this whole year, might as well apply, give it your all. And if it doesn't work out, then it doesn't work out. And I'm so glad that I listened because otherwise I would have missed out for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think there's always that question that applicants will have of like, well, what if I don't, if they don't get in, like,
Mhm.
what if I just go do something else?
Mhm.
Like, would your life probably be fine and you could find fulfillment in some other profession? Sure.
Yeah.
But I think there always would be that little nag inside of you of like, I didn't fulfill my dream. I didn't do what I
Right.
wanted to. Right. And so I'm glad you didn't give up. And there's so much credit that you need to give to yourself to say, hey, there's a lot of people who probably could have told you like, hey, just it's fine. You can settle. It's okay.
Yeah.
But you worked at it and you refined yourself and you made yourself better. And there we go. Now you have the opportunity of a lifetime to go to where you want to and to get the education you need so you can go out and fulfill your dreams.
Yeah.
So looking back,
Mhm.
besides the trying to help instill some belief in you and
Mhm.
selling yourself,
Mhm.
anything else that you think there's value in service with working with physical therapy application coach?
Yes. So, because we kind of did a little bit of everything, we did start out with coaching. And I remember I didn't know if I should go back and improve like a B to an A. And I really am so thankful that you pushed me to yes, go do that. Because every little thing that you do does make a difference. And so I feel like you're really good at looking at like my whole you were very good at looking at my whole application and telling me like what I needed to do specifically to, improve. And it all came down to like, improve every single aspect of your application. Which I feel like I already knew like going into that second year applying, but I didn't know where to start. And I feel like you made things very easy, and just at like taking things step by step. Like you kind of broke it down for me, which was really helpful.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
overwhelming. It can be overwhelming for sure when you're like, I got to do this again.
Mhm.
Where do I start? What actually is going to make a difference? Am I
Yeah.
just doing stuff that isn't going to matter? And I think that, that's one of the main benefits of having a coach is just someone to help you cut through all the BS. That's all the self-talk that's in your head. Be
Mhm.
like, hey, listen, this is what you need to do. Just go do it. Right. And I think you did a fantastic job of that. As we would come together, you would express what you were feeling, and then I'd say, all right, forget that,
Mhm.
ignore that, and let's do this.
Mhm.
Right. Like,
Yeah.
you can't suppress those feelings. So I'm glad you got them out and you expressed them, but we need to channel that energy into something productive.
Yes.
And I think that it's hard for anybody. It's hard for me. And I need people to give me a pep talk sometimes when it's
Mhm.
like, shoot, what do you do? Right. Like, I think that's just, we spend so much time in our own head
Mhm.
that you need someone to kind of just guide you along the process and give
Yeah.
you permission to go do something that maybe you already knew you needed to do. You just hadn't given yourself a license to let go of all the other stuff you're thinking about and only focus
Yeah.
on one thing. Um, and that is by and large like my consultation coaching, like what we did when we are just kind of just game planning with your application.
Mhm.
Most of the time people are like, oh, I know I needed to do all this stuff. Like,
Yeah.
well, yeah, why did you do it? It's because they don't know the order or what's actually relevant. And I
Mhm.
think everybody knows, like, just become as appealing as possible. But at the same time, it's building the belief in yourself while you're doing that.
Yeah.
Because you can have 4.0, you can have perfect GRE score, 10,000 observation hours in 12 different settings. And there's some people who would still be like, it's not enough. Like,
Yeah.
what? you know? So, yeah, but thank you. That's good perspective. And I think it helps echo and the sentiments of other applicants that you just gave me direction and you gave me a purpose and helped
Yeah.
me direct my energy in the right way.
And I have one more thing to add. I also feel like your experience is beneficial because you have been doing this for a while and you know what programs are looking for. Um, that I feel like helped me a lot in my essays because, yeah, the whole like show me, don't tell me spiel that you went on about like every single time we talked, that honestly helped me so much in my interviews, my essays, and like overall as a person. I feel like I'm going to be able to take that with me like in my career. So thank
Perfect.
you for that.
Perfect. Yes, you caught the vision, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes when we do these testimonial interviews, I love all the applicants I work with, but the ones who get that this is a life skill. This isn't just for PT school. Like, this is
Yeah.
forever, that you need to learn how to be able to sell yourself for job interviews as you get promotions. If you choose to open your own business, like, how do you sell yourself to a customer type of thing, right? And I think that's where this transcends just this brief period in time that we work together. As
Yeah.
I hope that in moments like that, you'll look back and say, what are the strengths I'm trying to showcase? And what are the stories that show those strengths? And it's pretty vanilla after that. You just lather, rinse, repeat, and you can have amazing experiences and be able to really promote yourself. And that will open doors for you in ways that you can't imagine.
Yeah. And I don't even think I've told you about this, but one of the programs that I interviewed with, I actually ended up really liking the program. It's a little bit further out than it's like maybe like 3 or 4 hours. So
Mhm.
um, that's one of the reasons why I chose not to go there. But I fell in love with the program. And one of the main reasons I fell in love with it is because during my interview, it was two people interviewing me. And one of my weaknesses that I mentioned to them was like public speaking. Sometimes I get nervous, and they were really surprised, and they were like, you don't seem nervous. You're doing very well in like a group of 3 with just us. And I just like, they congratulated me and they were like, you've come you've come so far in your journey. And then like after my interview, like I thought about it and I was like, wow, I remember my first interview, I came out thinking like I did so terrible. And then my last interview, I came out super confident. I got into the program and then a bunch of other programs. And so, yeah, you'll definitely see results if you work with Sean.
Yeah. No, that's so cool to hear, Lorena. Honestly, just like, I know that it would have, in a perfect world, like, let's think about it this way. What if you would have got in that first year, but you wouldn't have had the personal development that went along with the struggle of the past couple years, right? Like, the easiest path sometimes isn't what's best for us, type of a thing. And I'm not saying that like God or the universe or whatever is like, no, she can't get in now, right? But I think just for yourself, because you decided to be purposeful with the time that you had, you were able to make something out of it, and there was meaning in the mess, right? And you were able to become a better person, more confident person, who you'll go into PT school now, and you'll be so much more emotionally and mentally mature to deal with the challenges that are going to come your way. And I think that makes you a lot more bulletproof than if you would have just got in the first time and kind of scooted by,
Right.
So we'll call it a moral victory, but I still think that's definitely something to be proud of, to be like, it's not just about the fact that I got into all these schools that want me to come all across the state of Texas, which is an extremely competitive state to apply to. So props to you for that.
Thank you.
But it's all about like how you grew and developed as a person. And I think that's been the thing that I've enjoyed the most, is watching applicants who come in and I talk to them their first time, like, what are your strengths? And they're like, I think I'm a good communicator and I'm really nice to my patients. And then by the end, they just like their end of their last mock interview, and they just look you in the eye and like, I am someone who can communicate and articulate well with people and be able to convey my ideas.
Yeah.
I'm someone who is disciplined and devoted to the causes that I set my mind to. And I'm just like, whoa, like it's so cool to watch people change like that. And I hope that as you go into your career, whatever you decide to do, in your own little way, you can instill those ideas in other people, and help them realize like, hey, maybe you're not X, Y, and Z, but you are this, and there's something you can do to contribute with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is your advice for pre-PTs who maybe there's someone who's reapplying, or maybe this is someone who is their first time applying, and maybe your advice would be different to both of those groups, but what would you like to share with those people?
So I think for anybody applying for the first time, I would say take the time to work on your essays and your interview skills, because numbers can only get you so far. And for people who are reapplying, I would say that if you don't try, you'll never know. And there's this really cool quote that I came across in the last year. It's I don't remember who said it, but just for motivation. A river cuts through rock not because of its power, but because of its persistence. And I feel like that motivated me through this last application cycle as well. So don't have a plan B. Just stick to your gut, do what you want to do, because you're still going to be like, your dreams don't change no matter like what you're doing. Even if you decide to do something else, your dreams aren't going to change. So keep working towards what your dreams are.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
What a cool quote. Who said that?
I need to look it up.
I'm going to look at it again. That's so good. A river does not cut through rock because of its power, but because of its persistence. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is great. Put that on a bumper sticker.
James Watkins. I don't know who that is.
Cool. Good quote. Yeah. No, that's really, really neat.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lorena. Seriously, thank you for, I think, sharing your wisdom and your experience and the obvious transformation that's happened over these past 2 years. I think that's what applying to physical therapy school is all about. It's not just doing stuff to get in so you could
Yeah.
be, it's who are you becoming as a person. And
Right.
I think you've really embraced and harnessed that to have an amazing outcome and experience. It's taken longer than we'd hoped, but that's okay because the result is going to set you up for success
Yeah.
for years to come and help you inspire all thousands of people, right? All the patients you'll work with throughout the years. I
Mhm.
had a PT that had been practicing for 30 years that I was working with him when he retired. And I
Mhm.
just thought about, I was like, think about how many patients you've worked with in that whole span of time, right? Like you're an outpatient ortho and you're just cranking through people. It's it's crazy to think about at the end of when you're done to be like, wow, I've worn out my life doing this awesome job. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's hard and it's not always fun and the patients can be kind of crazy, but it's amazing. And when you
Yeah.
look back in the total sum of your efforts and you're just on the very cusp of that now, right?
Yeah. Right. No, and thank you so much. Honestly, I'm not even mad that it took me 3 years to get in because the journey and like um the confidence and just like personal development has been worth it. I like look back to myself 3 years ago and I'm like, I'm not the same person. I've definitely improved in so many ways. So I've learned to love the journey and not just, the destination, or I don't know the quote, but you know what I mean.
That's good. I got what you mean. Yeah. No, that's great. Okay. Well, Lorena, you are a part of the family, the Patapco family for life. Seriously, if you need help with anything, you can always reach out and I'm here to help you however you need. And I think it's great for you to go on and have your dreams unfold. Who knows where you'll be in the next 5, 10 years. But we'll have to do a follow-up and see how everything's going for you.
For sure.
Okay. Thanks, Lorena.
All right. Thanks, Sean.